everybody, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here, whether you are joining me live on Facebook or whether you are here in the Zoom room. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Kelsey Derringer, and I'm going to be your teacher today while we learn a little bit about robotics and coding. So glad everybody's here. I'm not here by myself, though. I have somebody in my studio with me here today. I have Matt. How's it going, Matt?
It's going well, Kelsey. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What are you up to?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just looking forward to answering some of the questions that will be coming in from Facebook.
That's right. So Matt is our director and producer, and he is monitoring our Facebook Live feed. So if you are watching us on Facebook Live, you can leave a comment live, and we'll see it, and we can bring it into the studio. Especially, I would love to hear what things you guys are growing or have tried to grow in the past. We are going to be talking all about robot gardens today because I have made a little robot garden. We've got a little robot bee, we've got a little robot flower, and the participants who are here on Zoom today are going to get to program our bee and our flower. Let's take a look at who all we've got here on Zoom today. Do you guys all want to wave hello? Hello. Very nice. You guys are waving hello to everybody on Facebook. We have quite a few participants, and I'm so glad you all are here. Now, in order to participate fully in today's class, we'll go back to speaker view, and we will take a look at our microbit classroom here. So if you're live on Facebook, please don't join the microbit classroom. We just keep this here for the kids who are here on Zoom to participate fully so that we can talk to them as they work. But you guys are going to, if you're here on Zoom and if you want to code with us, you're going to go to microbit.org/join, and you're going to enter in the classroom name, Indigo Dog Airplane Piano, when it prompts you for those things. And then the pin, 194892. We also just put that information in the chat again. We're going to put that in there quite a few times so that everybody can find it. And now you can see all of the students so far who have joined our classroom. So once you effectively join our classroom, your name will appear there, which is great because that's how we're going to be interacting with our robot garden today. I'm going to share code with you on that platform, and you're going to share code with me all on Microbit Classroom there. So as you guys are finishing joining, I know that there are a few people who told me here on Zoom that they are growing things. Let's see, Nihal, do you want to unmute yourself and tell us what your family is growing these days? What are you guys doing?
We're growing.
Make sure you unmute yourself.
We're growing like squash and tomatoes and mint.
And you said you guys were growing okra and basil too, right?
Yes.
Nice. So you're growing mint and basil. Those are really good seasonings to put on things. Those sound delicious. Make sure you send me some. And then Manali, do you want to tell us, you said your grandma gave you a really special tree, Manali. What did your grandma give you, and how is that plant doing?
She gave me a pomegranate tree, and it's doing good.
That's amazing. How big is it? Like, if you had to estimate, how many feet tall is it?
Well, we have to trim it because it gets really tall.
Oh, wow.
So, it's definitely taller than me, but I don't know how long it is, like how tall it is.
But it grows real pomegranate fruits and everything?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. You know, I've never even seen a pomegranate. I've never even seen a pomegranate tree before. So if you ever want to take a picture and share it with us on Twitter, I'd love to see it. That'd be cool. Well, I thought it would be good today to talk a little bit about gardens and what makes gardens work. We know that gardens have plants in them. We know that gardens have some flowers in them. But gardens also have something that's really important. They have bees. I bet you guys know this, but I made a little bee here. Does somebody want to raise their hand and tell us, what do bees do in a garden? Why are they so important? How about Lasya and, my contact is fuzzy, but Lasya and Sibling, do you want to say your name for us and tell us why bees are so important?
My name is Lasya.
Is it said Vici? Oh, we can't hear you guys very well. Are you unmuted? I think you are. Can you just get really close and talk really loud?
So, what bees do for the environment is they pollinate the flowers, so new plants can grow.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. Bees, they go from flower to flower. These are my flowers. Aren't they the most beautiful flowers you've ever seen? I'm such a good flower painter. But they go from flower to flower, and thank you, Connor. Thank you, Sophie. And they take some pollen from one flower and they put it on another flower. Now, does anybody know why they do that? Is that like their job? Do they get paid minimum wage to like go pollinate the flowers, or like why do bees go from flower to flower? What are they getting? Raise your hand if you think you know. Why do bees go from flower to flower? What do you think, Manali? What do they do?
They go and get pollen from
Yeah, why do they go get it? What do they use it for?
to make the honey.
They do. That's exactly right. The bees, yeah, say more about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right, though. They go and they get the pollen and the nectar from the flowers, and they eat it, and then they bring it back to their nest where they have honeycombs, and they throw it up, and they keep it in there, and that becomes honey. Is like what bees, doesn't that just make you want to spread some honey on some bread and just eat it up? Get that delicious bee byproduct. So good. But that's what they do. That's where we get honey from. And they use honey to feed themselves and also to feed their little bitty baby bees. And I think something that's really cool about bees is that how do you guys think they find flowers? Does anybody have any ideas? Raise your hand. How do you guys think that bees find the flowers that they use? Does anybody know? How about the person with the kind of green background? Can you tell me their name, Matt?
Sure, that looks like Logan.
Logan. Hey, Logan. Talk to us. How do bees find flowers? Make sure you unmute yourself.
I'd say because of the bright colors of the flowers, maybe.
The bright colors are part of it. They can see some different colors from what we can. That's part of it. How else do bees find flowers? What do you think, Nihal?
They one of them goes out to look for flowers, and then when that one comes back, then he does this like weird dance to tell the other bees where it is.
You are so right. You are so right. Raise your hand. We'll go to gallery view. Raise your hand like so if you have heard of the bee waggle dance before. Has anybody heard of the bee waggle dance? Okay, this is what scientists call it. I didn't make this up. This is a real thing. Scientists say the word waggle to each other, which always makes me laugh. But we have a really short video here that I want to show you guys. We have it pulled up on the side. And we're going to show you this video. It's like 2-3 minutes long about how bees do a little dance to talk to each other. And then we are going to code this bee to try and do the bee waggle dance. So I'm going to make that video full screen, and we'll show it to you. There we go. We'll start to play it. There we go.
To send complex messages to one another. In the wild, they sometimes nest out in the open, but mankind has persuaded them to live and store their honey in hives. The colony's heart is its queen. She is just a little bigger than her subjects and mother of them all. In spring, when food stocks are low, the workers get busy collecting nectar. They have a remarkable method of telling one another where to find the most productive flowers. It's called the Waggle Dance. This returning bee has just found a new source of nectar and is going to tell others in the hive about it. First, she gathers an audience. To do that, she climbs on her sisters' backs and vibrates her abdomen. Now that she's got their attention, she begins her dance, using a code of movements that tell her fellow workers where her discovery lies. The duration of her waggle indicates the distance to the nectar source. The longer the waggle, the further the flower. And the angle at which she dances across the comb tells them the direction to the flower in relation to the sun. Her instructions are remarkably accurate and can pinpoint the location of a nectar source over 6 kilometers away. Some of her fellow workers set off immediately to find it. In one short season, the colony's workers will visit up to 500 million flowers and will make around 90 kilograms of honey. That is sufficient to sustain the whole colony through the coming winter when there is no nectar to be had.
How cool was that? There were so many things that I did not know about bees that I learned from that video. So let me ask you guys about this waggle dance. All right. So why do bees? Why do they do this little wiggle? Does anybody want to demonstrate just with yourselves in your screen? Do you want to show us the waggle dance? I got mine. Here it is. I'm waggling. Hey, looking good, Logan. I like it. Looks good, Madhav. There it is. All right, we got the waggle dance. We're waggling. Why do they do that? Do they do it to impress girls? No, they don't. Why do they do? What do you think, Connor? Why do they do the waggle dance? What are they doing?
So they can tell the other bees that they found where, and that they found a spot that has like a lot of nectar.
That's right. That's exactly why they do it. Bees do the waggle dance not to impress people. They do it to communicate because bees don't have vocal cords. They can't be like, hey, Jane, I found some really dope flowers about 3.5 miles that way. They don't have necks. They can't talk, right? So they got to wiggle it out. They got to communicate through dance, all right? And so that is what I want you guys to help our bee do. I want it to do its little wiggle, and then I want it to turn around and wiggle the other way, all right? So it's going to wiggle a few times one direction and then turn around and wiggle a few times the other direction. So what I'm going to do now is I built some bee code here, and I'm going to share this code with all of you. So I'm going to go into our student code here, and I'm going to find Kelsey B. There we go. I called myself a B student, and I'm totally an A student. Anyway, I'm going to share this with everyone except for Kelsey Flower. There we go. So now I'm going to send this code to all of you. So let me ask you, give me a thumbs up in the Zoom chat if you just got something that said your teacher just sent you some code. Yeah? Great. Say use it. And now let's take a look at what this code is actually doing. All right? So if I look at this from my student view here, this code, I'm going to plug it in so that it runs. And so we can see a little side by side here. Here's my bee. And my bee is wiggling back and forth, but it's only going one direction. I want it to switch around and wiggle and go the other direction. So let's see what this code is doing. It's going from 0 degrees to 20 degrees, and it's waiting 200 milliseconds, which is 0.2 seconds. It's waiting 0.2 seconds in between, and it's going to do that 4 times. So it's going to go 0, 20, 0, 20, 0, 20, 0, 20, 4 times, and then, here's where I messed up, where I need you guys' help. I want it to turn around and go the other way. So let me show you using this handy-dandy protractor that I have here. I'm going to unplug it and bring it over here. Because right now, if I go to my top down, right now what my bee is doing, oops, zoom out, you fool, not in. There we go. Right now it's going 0, 20, 0, 20, 0, 20. I want it to do that 4 times. And then I want it to turn all the way over here to like over here and I want it to wiggle around over here. So we need to change some of the angles in the code so that it'll turn around and wiggle the other way. All right, that's your job right now, is to get our bee from going just from 0 to 20. It can go all the way to 180. See how it says 180 over here? That's the biggest angle it can go to. I want it to wiggle around at a couple of these angles as well. All right, so if we take a look back at our code, it's going to go 0, 20, 0, 20 a couple times, but then these angles down here, I need you to change those to be some other angles. And when you're done, wave your hand in front of your camera and let me know. Or you can wave your hand in front of your camera if you have a question. Let me go to gallery view so I can see who is done or who might have a question. Yeah, Connor and Sophie, what's up?
We finished.
You did something? Okay, I'm going to check in on your code in just a minute. But does anybody have any questions about what you should be doing? All right, try it out. And we're going to talk about repeat loops a lot today, so like get excited. Okay, I want to take a look at Connor and Sophie. They're going to share their code with me. So we're going to let Matt take care of that in the background. Thanks, Matt. Great. And then we're going to take a look at what Connor and Sophie's code looks like. Can we go to speaker view? There we go. Wonderful. All right. Ooh, look at that. So here's what Connor and Sophie did. They changed, and we'll download their code right onto our microbit here while we talk through it. Connor and Sophie, what'd y'all change? Talk me through it.
So we changed the second in the second repeat loop. We changed it from 0 and 20 to 160 and 180. So it goes to the opposite side.
Check it out. And now the bee is going from 0 to 20 over here, and then it's going from 160 to 180 over there. There you go. So they changed it so our bee wiggles 2 different directions. Now, other things that you could change in that code, you could change the number of times that it repeats its little wiggle. You could change the amount of time that each of these wiggles lasts by changing the pause block here. So you could change the number of times it repeats, like up here. You could change the amount of wait time in there. And when you've done it, wave your hand in front of your camera and we'll check it out. There were a couple people who joined a little bit late, and so they're wondering how to get into our classroom. Let me show you that information one more time as well. So I'm going to go up. I got it. I'm going to go up here to our dashboard so that everybody can see it. So again, this is just for the folks who are here on Zoom, not for those on Facebook. But to join, you're going to go to this URL, enter this classroom name here, and then you're going to put that pin in there. All right? We're going to talk about this bee for a little bit more, and then we're going to switch over and we're going to talk about this flower. All right? So, and we just put this joining information in the Zoom chat as well. So how about, did anybody else change some of their code? Wave your hand in front of your camera if you changed something about your code and you want to see it. All right, hey Courtney, let's take a look at your code. All right, we're going to go to speaker view so everybody can see us a little bit better. And we're going to take a look at your code. I'm going to use the mouse here. So let's look at Courtney's code. Courtney, where are you, Courtney? Courtney. Aha. Let's see, what did Courtney change about her code? What'd you change, Courtney? You changed a few things. Let's do this.
I changed the 0 and 20 to 160 and 180, and then I changed the amount of times it repeats. So it repeats 7 times for each one.
That's right, that's right. Okay, that's a good change there. All right, so I'm only sharing it with me. And then I'm going to let Matt take it from here. So you changed both the amount of time that it's waiting in between the angles it's changing to, and you changed the amount of repetitions that it's doing that. So I've still got it plugged in, so we're going to download your code onto the microbit, and then we'll see how that changes the actions of our bee. So now it's going to repeat it 7 times, and it's going to go, oh, you changed the angles, not the wait time. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of like it's like a little, I could dance to this, you know. Get down with your bee self. What? Looks good, Courtney. I dig it. I see you guys bopping along on Zoom. Looking good out there, bees. Who else has some code that they want us to try? How about Madhav? We haven't seen your code yet. Madhav, we're going to go to, and we're going to share your code with us. Can you tell us verbally what did you change about your code?
I changed the angles and the repeats.
You changed the repeats, and what was the first thing?
The angles.
You changed the angles that it's going to go to and the number of times that it repeated. All right. So let's take a look at Madhav's code, and we're going to download it. Here we go. So there's Madhav's code. So he changed it. Oh, interesting. You changed the repeats to different amounts of times, which is pretty cool. I think that this actually opens up some a pretty interesting activity that we could do with this, Madhav. So the bees are, when they're wiggling back and forth, remind us, what are they talking about when they're wiggling back and forth? Do you want to answer that one, Madhav?
I don't remember.
Does anybody remember? You can go ahead and unmute yourself. What are they talking about when they're wiggling back and forth? Do you want to tell us, Sham? Do you want to unmute? So what are the bees talking about when they wiggle back and forth, Sham? Do you want to answer that one? Oh, we're downloading.
I think it was like it was showing that they're doing some honey work.
Yeah, they were finding the honey. Yeah, Michael has it too. They were finding where the good honey was. Okay, so here's Madhav's code. So this is happening 10 times. And then this one's happening 3. 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So that's what Madhav's code looks like, because he changed. Here's repeating 3 times one direction, and then repeating 10 times over here. And the angles that Madhav put in there are 90 and 140, so that's why it's wiggling around over here. This is great, you guys, because this actually leads us into, I'm going to show you something with this flower. So I just unplugged my hummingbird from underneath there. And just to give you guys a hint at how this is put together, so that if you want to make a bee similar to this in your own classroom, I cut a little hole, I put the motor down in there, my bee has a servo horn on it, and then I just snap that on like so, and there's a bee. I'll show you one other example of a great bee classroom project. Going to go over here. This is in our resources in the Your First Hour of Robotics lesson plan part, and I'll go full screen on this one. This is an example from a fabulous teacher. These are the bees that her 5th period hive made. So their bees look super different from mine. They look super different from each other's. I think one of the bees, the one in the middle that's rainbow colored, I'm pretty sure that one has a cell phone. Fun fact. So if you want to do the Bee Waggle Dance lesson plan in your own classroom, it can look, all of the students can make their own bees when you're back in the classroom. They can make their own bees, make them waggle in different ways. And another really fun thing that I think would be to do is to get the bees to actually try to communicate. You could like hide a flower in your classroom and then have your students work out how would that bee waggle to communicate to other students where that flower is. Like have everybody hide their eyes and one person hides the flower and then they program the bee. I think that could be really fun too. So I want to show you now this really great flower that I've made. I'm going to go to my top down here because this flower, I'm going to switch this around. There we are. So here's this flower that actually Matt made this today. And this flower has an awesome little cable mechanism. If I go here, you can see that it's got some like straws and string on the side. And if I show you what it looks like from down here, there's a motor. And as this motor turns, it's going to set the different angles. So there's 90, there's 0, and there's 180. And so when I'm pushing these different buttons, it's going, I think that's, what is that, 0? No, that's 90. So all the way down, halfway down, all the way up. Halfway down, there's 90. There we go. So it's blooming, and then it's in the middle, and then it's all the way up. But that's one way to make a flower bloom, but like that doesn't remind me of how flowers really bloom. They bloom slow, right? Does anybody have a guess how, and I don't know the answer to this, so your guess is as good as mine. How long do you guys think it takes most flowers to bloom? Or does anybody know? What do you think? Is it Shika? What do you think, Shika? How long does it take most flowers to bloom?
Usually over like a few weeks.
Yeah, it can take up to a few weeks. I know there's a flower that was at the Botanical Center here in Pittsburgh, and that flower, it only bloomed once every 4 years, and it smelled like rotting carcasses. I forget what it was called, but it was the worst smelling flower in the world. That's its like claim to fame. And it only bloomed once every 4 years. So this flower, it's blooming really slow, and in just a moment, I'm going to share the code with you guys so you can see how we got that motor to move that slowly. So you guys can see it's just starting to bloom really slowly. Looks like we have a comment that came in. What's our comment, Matt?
Joshua is just mentioning that it is the corpse flower.
You're right. Thank you for reminding me, Joshua. I forgot what it was called. It's called the corpse flower because it smells like corpses. Cool. Why is that a thing? I think it's because it attracts flies. I think that's oh, it's also the biggest flower in the world? You guys know so much about the corpse flower. You guys are so cool. Logan says, nature, baby. That's right. That's awesome. So you can see that this one, that my blooming flower here, it's blooming really slowly. And I'll bring it up here so you can see how slowly the motor is moving that's controlling it as well. You can see that position servo horn under there, right? Somebody just said, Sham just said, it's nature, but it's tech. Exactly! Whoa! Your mind is blown, right? So so this flower is just very slowly opening and closing, and we did that with a concept called variables, all right? So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go ahead and let Matt do this. Will you share this flower code with everybody except Kelsey, the student bee? Thank you. So Matt is going to share the code with you, and you can see it now on your screen, and I'm going to talk you through what is happening in this code on my screen. So here, this code looks a little bit more complicated, but it's got some similarities with the Bee Waggle code that we just looked at, right? We've got 2 repeat loops, just the same as we had in the Bee Waggle. We had like repeat 4 times and repeat 4 times, or repeat 7 times and repeat 7 times, or like Madhav had repeat 3 and repeat 10. This one is also repeating the same number of times, but what it's doing is the Hummingbird position servo 2 now, because this is plugged into port 2. I'll put that so y'all can see it work as we talk. The Hummingbird position servo 2 is set to a variable, and the variable is x. We could call it whatever we wanted. We could call it flower. We could call it whatever. It's set to a number, x, and we told it to set x to 0. We said, hey, x, you should be 0, all right? So it starts out where the Hummingbird position servo is at 0. So looking at our angle, it starts out at 0. Starts all the way over there. And then it's going to change x by 1, wait a tenth of a second, and then repeat it again. So now, set Hummingbird position servo to x. Now x is 1. And then it repeats it again, and it sets x to 2. And it sets x to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, blah, 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 all the way up to 90. And how many times is it repeating it? It's repeating it 180 times. So it's changing it by 1, and it's going all the way to 180. And then, to get it to go back down to 0, now we change x by -1. So now it's going to count backwards by 1 180 times. And you can see how slowly this is going. I'll go to my top down here so you can see just how slowly this is blooming. Wow, it's excruciatingly slow, and except for that moment when I accidentally unplugged it and then plugged it back in. Then it went fast. But what you guys can do, you got to use a little bit of math. You guys can make this go faster. And there's a couple different ways that you could make it bloom a little bit faster. Or slower if you wanted. If you're like, you know what, that's still too fast for me. I like to go at my own pace. The way you could make it go faster or slower is you could change the amount of time that's in the blue pause block. Or you could change how much it changes by. Instead of changing by 1, you could count up by 5s. Or you could count down by -5s. But if you do that, if you change the increment, if you change it by 5 like this, then you'll also have to divide this number by 5. What's 180 divided by 5? Does anybody know? If you do, type it in the chat or let us know. You'd have to change this number. I think it would be 35, 30 something? I'm not sure. But it would be a smaller
36.
number. 36? Thank you. I was pretty close. 36. So you would change that to like -5 and then change this also to 36. So you could change a couple different things. You could make it go faster, you could make it go slower, you can put whatever you want in. Those are the numbers that you should mess with, all right? So Shika, I see you raising your hand. Does that mean you have a question, or does that mean you have some code that you want us to use?
I have a code.
Ah, you have some code you want us to try? Great. So many people got that math question, by the way. 180 divided by 5. So many people got 36. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate the help. All right. So, Shika, we're going to share your code with Kelsey, the flower student. Can you tell us what you changed? Talk us through. Give us a preview. What did you change about the code?
I changed the amount that it, like when it says X moved by 1, I changed it to a larger number so then it would go faster.
All right, so you changed it to X is going to move by a larger number so that it'll move a little bit faster. Hey, it's going to move by 6. And then the other thing that you'll need to do is we'll also need to, and before we download it, we're going to have to change one other thing. We got to change that number 180. We've got to divide 180 by 6 so that it repeats the correct number of times. So can you do that math in your head really quick? And this one's just for Shika. What's 180 divided by 6?
I think it's 30.
You're right, it's 30. So we'll change that. Now we're going to make that repeat 30 times. We're going to make the other one repeat 30 times. Cool. All right, and now we'll download it, and we'll see how this changes the movement of our flower. And remember, it was going so slow. All right, we're downloading, we're downloading. Let's see what it looks like, Shika. All right, here it goes. Hey, look at there. That's going so much faster now. I would venture to say it is going 6 times as fast as it was before. Although you changed another thing too. You changed the pause, the amount of, or was it already at 100? I forget.
That was already at 100.
It was already at 100, okay. So it's going 6 times as fast now because she changed the amount that the variable was changing to a bigger number and the number of repetitions to a smaller number. Nice. Let's go to our gallery view. Who else has some code? Lasya and Sadviki, you guys have some that you want to try? Okay, we'll do yours and then we'll do Logan's. All right? All right, so we're going to share Lasya and Sadviki's. What did you guys change? Can you give us a preview? What did you change about the code?
So we changed how much time, like, it paused.
Mm-hmm.
So we put 45 seconds.
Instead of 100.
Did you put the number 45 in there, or did you put 45,000?
We put 45.
Okay, so 45, that means it measures it in milliseconds. So it takes 1,000 milliseconds to make 1 second. So 45 is less than 100, so if that's the only thing you changed, and it looks like it is, when we download it, which we'll do right now, it'll actually end up going a little bit faster than the original one, because instead of waiting 1/10 of a second, it's going to wait, so instead of waiting 0.1 seconds, it's going to wait 0.045 seconds now. That's how long it's going to wait in between each of the movements. So it'll be a little faster than the original and a little slower than the last one that we put on it. All right, it's downloading, there we go. I think it's starting to move. We can look at it from this angle here so we can see that motor start to move under there. There we go. Look at there. It's so graceful. I like that speed. You can really see it move. Nice job, Lasya and Vici. Good stuff. All right, well, we've continued to look at theirs. Matt's going to work in the background to get Logan's loaded up so we can put Logan's code on here as well. And then I think we'll have time to put one more code on our flower here, and then we'll do some questions at the end. So let's do Logan's and then maybe Joshua's, because I don't think Joshua has gotten to put any code on anything yet. So Logan, can you give us a preview? What did you change about the code?
I just removed the pause blocks.
Oh, you removed the pause
So it
block.
goes super fast.
It's going to go, you think it's going to go real fast? Let's
It
find.
might break something, maybe, maybe not.
Probably. I don't know. It's an exciting question. Will it break? Will it break? We'll find out. It definitely won't like injure anything, but who knows what'll happen to our flower. So is this Logan's code now, Matt? No, not yet.
Not quite yet.
Okay.
It is still downloading.
So it's going to take a couple little bit to download here, Logan. So Logan in the code, he just took the pause blocks out entirely, and his thinking is that it's going to go really, really fast, so that it's barely going to pause at all. All right, here we go. It's downloading. You can see in the top down, our microbit is blinking. Takes about 5 seconds. All right, Logan. Let's see what monstrosity you have coded. So it's going to start up there. Let's see. Moving?
Yes, it is moving.
Oh, it
it's
is.
moving very slowly.
It's
now.
moving really slowly. Let's check out. Let's see why. Huh. If we look at the code here, you did take you took one of the pause blocks out. Mm-hmm. So you took the pause block out in the top one. So the top one is, let's see, it's going to go from 0 to 180 a little faster. So this is opening, this is the bottom one, and that's the top one. Logan, do you want us to try taking out the second pause block to see what happens? I saw you type that in the chat. Yeah. So he said, yeah, take out that second pause block. I want to see what happens. I do too. Let's download it and see how fast it goes. I don't know, man. It could be nuts. The world could explode with this one little bit of code. I don't know. Are you nervous, Logan? That's great. So this is what that looks like with no pause blocks at all. What do you think? What do you think, Logan? Is this the best one yet? Do you like it?
Sure, I guess, yeah.
Sure, I guess, he says. You just said you're such a chaotic neutral, and I completely agree, Logan. Absolutely. All right, so while we're looking at this guy, man, when you don't take time to breathe, I think this looks like it's going to like take off. It's like, bye, I'm going to fly now. See ya. That's great. Arya just said interesting, and I totally agree. Like when you take out those pause blocks, it is really interesting like what that does to the code. Because actually if we look deep underneath there, if we take a look at this this motor running here, I'll go to this view so we can see a little bit better. If you notice, it's not even actually getting all the way up and all the way down, because it takes a little bit of time to go all the way from 0 degrees to 180 degrees, right? I'll put that where we can see it. It takes a little time to go all the way from one side all the way to the other side, right? And you can see the motor pulling the strings up and down, yeah. But it takes some time to get all the way from one side to the other. And the code, if we don't put pauses in it, it doesn't have enough time to get all the way around 180 degrees. So it's really only moving like 60 degrees as it pulls on our little flappy flower here. Yeah. So that's one reason. If you want it to have the full range of motion, you may need to slow it down. That's one of the best uses of pause blocks. All right. So we've got, who is it? Joshua's here? Joshua's got a code now? All right, Joshua, can you talk us through what did you change about the code, Joshua?
I changed the number of times it repeated The top one, I changed it from 180 to 45.
Okay.
And then I changed X to 4 and the pause to half 0.1 second, so 0.05 seconds.
Yeah.
And on the second one, I did 90 times, changed X by -2, and kept the pause the same.
Oh, it looks like both of them on our end, what got shared with us, they both have, they're changing by 4. Do you want us to adjust this to what you just said? Do you want us to change anything about it?
Yeah, could you change the repeat on the bottom one to 90 and then the X to -2?
Yeah, we'll change that in ours here. So this one's going to be 90, and this one's by -2?
Yep.
Okay, and then we'll download it and see what that does, so we can really check out your code here. You got it, Matt?
Yeah, I got it. Sorry, I believe I shared it with us before you had made those changes.
Yeah, we jumped the gun a little bit there, Joshua. Thanks for catching that. All right, so it's downloading. 3, 2, 1. Interesting. So something that's happening here, because the amount of repeats are different, is that this is repeating 90 times, so that's going to work out, yeah. And then 4 times 45 is 4 times 45, 180? It is, perfect. So your math is great there. So one of these is going to happen slower, and the other one is going to happen faster. So which one is which? Which one's slower and which one's faster? What do you think?
Is it okay if you try out my code after?
You know, we're almost at the end of our time here. I think this might be the last one that we get to try out on the robot. But I think, is that Michael that just spoke?
No.
Oh, somebody else. Yeah, there are quite a few other people who wanted their code on there as well. I think we won't have time to put anybody else's code on just because we only have an hour with our class today. But just to finish out talking about Joshua's code here. So in Joshua's code, there's one that's going like twice as fast and one that's going, you know, half as slow. So I think that the top of the code is controlling how it opens.
Right.
And the bottom of the code is controlling how it closes.
You're absolutely right, but Joshua also did something clever where he decreased the time as he increased the increments, making them actually the same.
I did not notice that, Joshua. That was some clever shenanigans there, mister. So I was like, they look the same to me, but I know something's different. No, you're right. They're absolutely the same. So when he... Exactly. Do you want to explain that, Joshua? Matt said it well. Do you want to explain what you did with the changing the repeats, changing X, and changing the pauses so that they'd be the same? Do you want to explain that? Go ahead. We can hear you now.
Okay. So, I actually didn't know what was going to happen. I thought it was going to close slower than it opened, so.
That is such a great thing to do as a coder and a roboticist. It's so wonderful to just try things and have no idea what's going to happen with it. That's awesome. But what you did actually was super clever because you, the top one is, so the repeat 40 times is the one that's actually, I think that one's the one that's closing it, just from what I remember. But it's actually impossible to tell because you made it so that they were the same based on how many times they repeated things, how often it moved, and what the pause blocks are doing. So you made it basically take the same amount of time to open and close because you doubled some things and cut other things in half. And the way you did it was just really clever. That was really cool, Joshua. Nice coding. Love it. So that's just about the end of our time for our webinar here today. I am so impressed with you participants as coders. Really love what you guys came up with, the questions that you guys asked. Would love to see if you wanted to tag us on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, if you want to show us what you're growing or show us what kinds of robot garden things you make at home. Would love it if you could tag @BirdBrainTech or #HummingbirdKit. You could say, this is my pomegranate tree, and this is a pomegranate from the tree whatever, or this is my zucchini, I am so very proud. Would love to see what you guys are actually growing at home too. Or if you guys have any questions about anything, whether you are a student or a teacher, please feel free to email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. And if you haven't yet, you should absolutely go to our website, birdbraintechnologies.com. And then we have this very convenient page that we just made within the last couple months in response to everybody sort of learning from home right now, birdbraintechnologies.com/robotics at home. And there you can find all of our live classes, whether you are a teacher or a student, whether you're working with a summer program, an after-school program, whatever you are up to, we can support you on this Robotics at Home page with tutorials that'll teach you how to use a hummingbird, with some great project outlines and ideas. You can purchase a hummingbird kit for yourself or for your students there. And you can also, there are some great resources to help you as a teacher do what we're doing here. We have robots in our studio, but our students who are joining us on Zoom don't, and they're able to code our robots live. So there are some great resources there to help you learn to do that and set that up for yourself as well. Plus, you can find all of our live classes for both students and teachers there. So we are going to end our stream in just a moment, but I invite you students on Zoom to stick around for a couple minutes if you have any additional questions. But thank you all so much for joining me. Teachers, make sure you join the Teacher Talks tomorrow, where we are going to be talking about how to teach this lesson yourselves. 2 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow. See you there, teachers. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to see what you make on social media. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can tag @BirdBrainTech or #HummingbirdKit, or you can even tag me. If you have any questions, be sure to email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. We can answer questions about purchasing, about learning, about teaching, and about professional development. If you haven't been there yet, be sure to visit our Robotics at Home page. There you can purchase a kit for yourself, learn how to use it, and even join one of our upcoming webinars. Until we see you in class, thanks for watching from everyone at BirdBrain Technologies.